What the fuck is going on, everybody? I'm your host, Nick Balkwiz. This is the WTF show, Winning the Flex. Happy 4th of July to everyone out there. Super excited to be doing some giraffes. I have a special guest with me, Silver Falcon, Charles Xavier, future Best of Main Championship. You have many names. First time meeting you, but happy for you to come on and be on my stream today. How you doing, pal?
Man, I'm doing good. It's 4th of July, ready to hit a draft or two. Might have a beer after this, but feeling good. Feeling like we're going to take something down.
I love that, man. Love that. Happy 4th. Again, no better feeling to be doing some drafts, spending time with family, eating some good food. And I'm ahead of you. I got some wine actually on deck right
Oh,
now.
nice.
Couple shots in as well. Have to, I was with the fam a little earlier, so we were doing some celebrating. Welcome in, everybody. What the fuck's going on, Hartman? What the fuck's going on, Fantasy Football Garage? Happy 4th of July to both you guys. So this is so basically about half an hour ago, I posted like, hey, I'm gonna be doing a stream. Anybody wants to come on, be a guest. Charles DMs me like 2 minutes later, and here we are. So if you kind of want to give yourself just a background of how long you've been playing Underdog and what you kind of do when it comes to the best ball, community.
Yeah, so I'll give a background on me. So I go by Silver, so I'm Silver Falcon 77 on Twitter. For the folks that do follow me, for the folks that don't, I've been in the best ball streets for about 3 years now, mainly underdog. Last year, above 20% advance rate, got three teams to the semifinals in the Best Ball Mania 5. Year before that, 30 something percent advance rate. So looking to take down a contest or two, dabble a little bit in drafters and also in the DraftKings streets. You might see me there with a similar name as well. So 3 years best ball. A lot of years before that, just regular redraft. Enjoying it, enjoying the space, enjoying the people I get to meet, and performing well. Hopefully.
I love that. I love the name Silver Falcon. I think that's a super cool name. But future Best Home Championship, you can't top that. That's it's a pretty dope
Yeah,
name.
gotta let the people know. If you see me in a draft, just know you're drafting with a future champ. So be ready.
That's right. So you said you had three teams in the semis, which
Mhm.
is which I think that's above the rate, if I'm mistaken, right?
Yeah.
Right. I had one team in the semis, which it was unfortunate because I think I was like 1 point away from making the finals. It was, I believe, I had like Daniels, Jonathan Taylor, I had like kind of like the nut outcomes,
Mhm.
but it was Tajay Spears who got that goal line touchdown. Had like 20-point week, I think week 16,
Yep.
and just fucked me, and I'm sure fucked a lot of people that week.
Yeah, it came out of nowhere. Him performing pretty well that week definitely led to, of my three teams, I don't think I had him on one. So, and
Yeah.
Jonathan Taylor also went berserk that whole stretch of the fantasy playoffs. So good to have him. Some other guys went off that, you needed in that week 16 that didn't even matter week 17.
Yeah, basketball is such an interesting game because this is my third year playing it. First year I didn't know what I was doing. I was, like, I'm a dynasty bro. I've done Yahoo leagues, like kind of like just like regular redraft. So I'm like, let me show my talent in this best ball game. I'll smoke everybody. Did not happen that way. I got my ass handed to me. It was terrible. I was drafting all the rookies, fading all the old guys. Was terrible. I think I advanced 4 out of 62 BBM teams that year. Terrible.
Mhm.
Last year, which for me was disappointing, but it was a much improvement where I did 62 BBMs, but I advanced 8 teams, which I think's like 15, 16%, right? It's like
Mhm.
average. Obviously, a goal for me this year is to advance as many teams as possible. But I
Mhm.
want, but I want to ask you because with Best Ball Mania, like all the money's won in the playoffs.
Yep.
Week 17 is all that matters. So, how have you adjusted to playing a tournament like this? Obviously, compared to other, drafters have. It's the
Yep.
points all year. So,
Yep.
what are some things that you've done to kind of adjust over time?
Yeah, so I think a big adjustment for a lot of people that come over from the redraft streets or even from like total point contests, like the adjustment for me has really been getting out of that advance rate bro mindset. I think last
Mm,
year, big advance rate bro, every week, looking at the tracker, seeing like, okay, how like most of the year I spent with a above 30% advance rate, which I'm like, man, I'm crushing it. But what drove that was having these really, really strong player takes, right? Like there's a couple
yeah.
players I had, above 30%, above 35% exposure to. I think this year, a big mentality shift for me that I'm probably going to keep going forward is less focused on advancing so many teams and less focused on individual player takes and more focused on curating individual teams that I think have a coherent
Mm,
story to, how can this team perform in the playoffs? How can this team perform in the money weeks and actually make me some money and make that bread, but not necessarily, duplicate myself. I'm not drafting Josh Downs on every team. I'm not drafting Jaden Daniels on every team
yeah.
and reaching, on guys that I really like. I think I'm trying to diversify in that way. So when I do, if I advance, let's say 20 teams, if I max out on BBM6, like I'm advancing 20 teams are fairly diversified.
I love that. I think you hit the nail right there. I think that sums it up where, it's like advancing is great. Obviously, if you advance 40, 50 teams, you're happy. But is it as important as if maybe 50 of those teams are structurally similar and all those players do terrible week 15, 16, and you don't advance to the finals? But then when you're trying to curate a team with uniqueness, obviously you're not going too crazy where you're pulling up Jaden Downs in the first round. But like you're doing things different where, for example, maybe you take CD Lamb, with the one. I'm not advocating for this, but I'm just saying, like, let's say you take CD Lamb for the 1.1, then you take Terry and Daniels at the 2-3 turn, and then you take Pickens at the 4-5 turn. Because
Yep.
right now it's very hard to get that group of players with how the ADP is.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I was gonna do that. I was trying to do that, but then I just couldn't take Terry over Lad. So I
Mm-hmm.
was like, I was like, what, screw this. Like, I'll just see if Daniels could fall to me, which of course he didn't. He never falls in the fourth no more.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but you bring good points. I'm trying to do the same, trying to be unique. I'm trying to also just structure teams in a way where like I need to have the best talent week 15 through 17. And then what's a chaos story, right? Like there's
Yep.
gonna be chaos. And I think if you're able to get, if you could come up with the right story, then that's obviously going to lead to the path of you obviously, reaching the finals and potentially winning $2
Mm-hmm.
million.
Yeah.
So no, so what we're going to be doing is we're going to try to create that story right now, right?
All right. Yep.
Under
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Underdog did drop two new contests. The down shit. I've never been able to say this. Was it the Dalsha
Dashund, I think.
Dashin? Okay, Dalshin. Max entry for, it's 28,000 entries, and then it's so it's $8 entry, 28,000 entries, 30,000 top prize. It's not top heavy, but it's still nice.
Yeah,
Fine.
I like this contest. They've dropped two that are fairly interesting. The other one's at a $4 price point. I like this one a little bit more because the advanced structure is a little bit easier. That 1 out of 5, 1 out of 6, 156, seat final. Like if you
Yeah.
can get past or you can advance out of your pod, those are really, really good odds. You only have four other teams that you need to take down. And when you get to week 15, that's a really good setup to really smash. You're not necessarily going to need the nuts in a 156 seat final.
No, exactly. I love contests like this. The Pitbull. I maxed it just because the structure. I love 100K top prize. Did you max any of the pit bulls or
Yeah, so
the
I
photos?
think I've maxed the pit bull and I think the golden before that. I'm focusing on really getting my drafts in early, and this year I think context selection is going to be a big piece of how I think about my best ball portfolio. So I really want to focus on contests that are going to give me like a good reward for my draft time. Like if I'm putting in like 8 hours drafting, trying to max a contest, I want to make sure that the structure is something that I feel is logically sound for the type of teams I'm trying to build.
Yeah, I agree with that. So are you? I assume you're maxing BBM. obviously, right?
Yeah, I'll max BBM, and then that dash hunt is probably next. I've put a pause on BBM drafts. I think I got in 2 dash hunt drafts today. Maybe I might look at the Chihuahua. I know it's a 30K prize as well for first.
Mhm.
So both of those interest me. They're dropping some good contests this summer. So, I'm just going to try and max where I can. But yeah, BBM maxing, future BBM 6 champion. I can't hit it if I don't get my 150 in.
Of course, of course. Yeah, so I'm kind of same where so I'm maxing BBM, and then I did want to max Eliminator, but I've done 60 already. But I'm kind of putting a pause because I want to be smart with my portfolio because there's Dalmatians they're gonna release.
Mhm.
I love those. I love the Dalmatians, future pit bulls. So one thing that I think if I was telling new people is like try to manage your bankroll a right way, be smart about it because you're gonna be getting so many contests all summer and doing so many
Mhm.
drafts that you don't want to just blow it all so early.
Yeah.
Um, so we are entering the 22nd Chihuahua, where I like these contests like the puppy and Chihuahuas because I treat them like mock drafts for the BBM, right? Like I'm able to try new
Mhm.
things. I'm able to test certain type of draft strategies before I implement in the BBM, just so I can know what I'm doing. I don't know if you've done that or if you think that's smart, but that is something that I've been doing a lot more this year.
I'm right there with you. I think that's really sharp. I think these time box contests to where right now the contest just dropped today. It's already over 6% fill. It'll probably fill in a little over a week if it takes that long. Like this is a chance to experiment. It's only going to be open for this number of time. You don't have to worry about, Malik Neighbors ADP might move higher in August or something. Like you can focus on really where the ADPs are right now and get unique and not worry about, how things will shift after you've already drafted. This contest is going to close, so it's a chance to experiment while you still can.
100%. And with that said, how are you treating the first round? Because we got the 1.5. So
Mhm.
walk me through your mindset when you're picking the 1.5 and the first round in
Mhm.
general.
Yeah, the first round, I don't have too big of player takes, but I will say for me individually, I like CD Lamb a lot. Like CD, he's
Okay.
typically there at 5. But I also like if CD's not there, Puka and Malik Neighbors are the two players I look at right after that. I just like these guys where they have really big target shares. They're always going to have kind of a safe weekly floor. They're the number one option in their offense. They're not really questioned in the pass games. Even if the Giants pass game isn't necessarily elite, Malik
Mhm.
Neighbors is going to demand a huge target share. So if JJ is off the board, Chase is off the board, those are the wide receivers that are really going to be a big difference maker to me this year. I'm fading the first round running backs a little bit, not
Mhm.
completely, but I think you can get like the similar scoring profile that you get from like say Ashton Genty or a Jameer Gibbs. You can find approximately similar to that in Jonathan Taylor, Josh Jacobs. So for me, I try to get high upside wide receivers in that first round.
Okay, so we do have CeeDee Lamb fall to us, which is perfect because it sounds like you're overweight on him. So we'll,
Yep.
we'll take we'll take him. But if CeeDee Lamb went, who would have been the guy that you want there?
I think to me, I would have taken Puka right after that. Like
Okay,
Puka would have
okay.
been who I queued up second. I think with the way that the season is set up, like Puka just has a lot working in his favor. If Devontae Adams frees up and takes that X receiver spot, Puka can be moved all over the formation. He really has a lot of the characteristics that we look at when we think of a number one overall finish at wide receiver. He just hasn't had, like, let's say that positive touchdown variance be in his favor, or a couple other things, injuries that hit him last year. I think if everything lines up, though, Puka is just as good as anyone to be taken at 101 next year.
Yeah, I agree. I think if we get 17 healthy games of Puka, he's probably putting over 1,700 receiving yards and probably like 9, 10 touchdowns. Right? Like he's
Mm-hmm.
so good. Which the first round for me this year has been a little not complicated, but I go back and forth a lot with players because I see the upside case for a lot of these first rounds, man. Like you said, neighbors another one who could get like 180 targets and just
Mm-hmm.
just dominate. Maybe Russell Wilson's better than what they had last year, and then maybe Dart is just a good quarterback, right? And he's doing neighbors. So Nico Collins is another one. I like Nico a lot. I think Nico,
I
if
love
he's
Nico.
healthy, So it's really hard for me to pick. So I kind of just take whoever falls to me. But by doing
Mhm.
that, you have to sacrifice, some RBs, obviously.
Yeah, and I will say I think the first round this year is pretty efficient. There's
Yeah.
not guys in there like last year we had Brees Hall going in the first round, and there were some clear holes in his scoring profile that were a little bit suspicious. I think this year at wide receiver, the market has things pretty accurate.
Yeah, I agree with that. So right here we have Taylor, Bucky, Rice, Hill. Who's your favorite? Is it one of these RBs or receiver?
Yeah, I would say I like Jonathan Taylor the most of this crop here. He gets
Yeah,
a
me too.
smash game against Jacksonville in Week 17. So like I think you can, and he was the guy you needed last year through the fantasy playoffs.
Yeah.
Like if you didn't have JT, good luck winning in Week 17. So it's like I think JT's in a position to smash this year, and he's a guy. Honestly, you're getting a first round running back in the second round, pairing him with CeeDee Lamb. So I love this kind of start that we have going right now.
I do too, and that's why like I do take. So I am fading Barkley all year. He's my sixth ranked player, but I do mix in Gibbs and Bijan. But it's hard because like sometimes if I take a Gibbs or Bijan, I have Taylor there. I'm like, man, I wish I would have just took JJ or Lamb because
Yeah.
it's the combo, right? That you just prefer with the
Mhm.
receiver in the first round.
Yeah, and if you fall behind in wide receiver in some of these rooms, like you're gonna get punished, right? Like you got to catch up really hard. You're reaching on guys like you're taking Xavier Worthy as soon as you can. You're taking,
Yeah.
guys like who knows, like Ricky Pearsall ahead of ADP, and you
Oof.
just don't feel that good about it.
Oh yeah, I throw up a little bit by you just saying that. Okay, so we're up next. We have Taylor and CeeDee Lamb. Um, Chase Brown's interesting, and then any of these receivers you could make a case for.
uh, I this is my lean. I like Jackson Smith and Jigba a lot here.
Okay.
I think he falls past ADP a lot, but Chase Brown I really do like. But you can get a running back at the pick that's going to come back to us. You can get a lot of good running backs. I think Kenneth Walker goes in that
Yeah.
range. If we're lucky, O'Marion Hampton goes in that range. But I think a guy with Jackson Smith and Jigba's upside, I think people are overlooking him. He's going to command a huge target share out of Seattle. Once he started to be the number one guy after DK, had his injury and post bye week, like JSN was really coming on hot. If he
Mhm.
continues on that trajectory, like right now, if you map out his career, like points wise, he's scoring very, very comparably to Amon-Ra St. Brown. And this would track for the same breakout year Amon-Ra St. Brown had when he became the number one guy and a guy in fantasy that was on all of our radars.
Jason fucks with me a lot, man. I because I think he's a really good football player, and I've been kind of fading him right now. But then like I think about Sam Darnold supported JJ Addison, like he supported top receiver options. Maybe Sam Darnold is just a good quarterback now, or he's better than it. If Sam Darnold's better than what we think he is by his ADP, JSN's probably a smash with where he's going,
Yes.
right?
Yeah. And
So
I think to your point, like when we look at the draft board, like looking at the guys that went after JSN, there's a little bit of a cliff in terms
yeah,
of wide receiver. Like after JSN, you get Devontae Adams, who is the WR2 in his own offense. You get guys like Terry McLaurin, who was fantastic last year, but hit really a ceiling outcome. Ted McMillan, who's a rookie. There's some uncertainty there. Like I think
yeah,
JSN is the last of like a really solid wide receiver group. After him, it gets a little bit more dicey.
yeah, like because he's proven that he could be a good receiver, right? 100 catches, over 1,100 yards. But then you have Adams, Mike Evans, age concerns.
Mhm,
Terry's probably not doing double digit touchdowns again. The rookie, so
mhm,
you are right. I do think JSN is a little tier break. Even though I do like Adams, I do like that offense a lot. So I think him and
mhm,
JSN are pretty similar to me. Um, so coming up next, this always feels where it's like, you know what? Everyone's feels the same. I'll just take
mhm.
George Kittle here.
I was gonna say if Kittle comes back to us, that's my dream scenario in my mind.
Yeah. George Kittle. I remember his okay, so we're cool with Kittle here.
Yeah, that's perfect to
Okay.
me.
Yeah, I remember George Kittle, like maybe 3, 4 weeks ago was like ADP 49. He was going in the 50s
Mhm.
always though. Mid late 50s. And I'm like, this is
Yeah,
like the easiest click ever.
Yeah, and now he's starting to creep up. I think once Mike Evans goes off the board, people are starting to look like Kittle is live to just straight up outscore a lot of the wide receivers in this range. Like if you gave me the truth serum, I think George Kittle just straight up outscores Xavier Worthy, right? I think he can outscore Jamison Williams again. He has a ceiling that is matched by, Trey McBride and Brock Bowers. Like we're getting a guy who should go maybe in the third or next to where Trey McBride goes in terms of ceiling at the tight end position. We're able to get him at 44. I think that sets us up really nicely.
100%. George Kittle was the title one last year. And if anything, like he's an offense that they have the easiest schedule. The defense is gonna be worse. And it's like if you don't want to take any 49 receiver, just take George Kittle. just
Yep.
just bet on him. Don't bet on anyone else.
Yeah, and it's so interesting to me. People feel so uncertain about the entire Niners receiving room. Like, Kittle's price is somewhat depressed from where it should be. Ricky Pearsall goes low. Yeah,
Yeah.
AU goes in the 80s. Like, people don't believe in Jennings. I'm like, I want all the 49ers. I'll take them at the prices they're at right now.
Same. I'm just gonna bet on one of the best efficient offense. Um, where you know what, if I'm wrong on one player, but I hit on two, three of them, you're gonna be very happy about that.
Agreed.
So I think next,
And
I think George Pickens, right, with CeeDee Lamb.
Well, I have we
Well,
can take Pickens. I'm thinking Kenneth Walker. If we lock up the entire
okay.
Seattle offense, we'll have two solid running backs. There's a lot by the time we come back on the board. There's going to be a lot of wide receivers who may perform similarly to George Pickens from a scoring perspective. That's how I usually think about this, like mid 50s here. Like if we pull back up the draft board, I think by the time we're back on the clock, we're going to be looking at Jacoby Myers. We're going to be looking at Jaden Reed, guys like that. And
Mhm.
I think they're also very high upside WR2s where I like Pickens and I like locking up that Dallas offense. But I think a Kenneth Walker type running back, we're not going to see that on the board if we pass on him here. That's just my thought.
Yeah, and I've been kind of auto clicking Kenneth Walker in the fifth now because I had to pay for my sins because I had like 2% in through 200 drafts, and then
Mhm.
like someone called me out, and then I was like, what am I doing? Like he is one of the best RBs in the league. He's so good. Like in the fifth round, like he just like he doesn't need to hit his ceiling to pay off that price.
Yeah, and last year, Kenneth Walker, I think, was third at running back in targets, behind some very, very elite guys. Like he's
Correct.
getting the money touches. If there's any upside in Seattle's offensive line or, just the overall play with Darnold being there, like this guy can smash. He can easily be going in a 2-3 turn next year if he has a type of season that we think he can have. Missed tackles forced per touch. He's really elite in that metric as well. So is James Conner. Like there's a lot of running backs I like once we get to that mid fifth round area.
Yeah, I agree with that. And it makes sense because if we're betting on JSN, we're betting the offense is better than expected, which is
Mhm.
obviously going to help Walker out. Right.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
Terrence says, unfortunately, Seattle isn't Detroit. Well,
Yeah.
that is
I
true.
think
But
That's true, but I do think that based on the coach speak from what we've seen this offseason, they want Kenneth Walker to be the guy. We know this is going to be a very run forward offense. I think the entire Seattle like structure goes cheaply in these drafts. Like it's easy to pick up a piece and just build a little stack and just take Sam Darnold in like the 180s, right? If we need another quarterback, it gives us another out if we need it.
it does. So we're on the clock. So we could do Debo because we have the CD Lamb thing going. Jerry
Mhm.
Judy, Troy Myers. I'm cool with either.
I'll take the Debo for that week 17 correlation with CD Lamb. I think that sets us up nicely. How do you feel about Debo going into this year?
So I haven't drafted much of him, but now that I'm kind of getting around, it's like receiver two for a good offense where the Cliff Kingsbury does do a lot of like, screen game, short things, right? So I'm coming more along with it because it's a game I want to be heavy on. And I think Debo is a player that like he's just always been a physical player. So I don't really care if he's like, fat right now. He'll get in shape. So
Mhm.
I've been clicking a little more.
I think that, I'm a noted, like, I don't like Debo after coming off last year, but given what Kingsbury can do in the screen game, like I think that Debo's a great pick for where he goes. So
Exactly.
I'm trying to get more in the mentality of okay, take Debo where I can.
Yeah, I'm gonna look it up too because I think Debo was doing good early on, but then well, he got like a sickness, right? Like,
Yeah,
uh,
I think he came down with pneumonia, and that really derailed his season. That's where we saw a lot of his tracking metrics go down the
yeah,
drain.
yeah. So like maybe that's it. Maybe because he did get hit with the sickness, and I mean it's tough to play football when you're dealing with that, right? Maybe you're not in
Yep.
the best shape, so we'll see. But I do like Debo a little more now.
Yeah, and this right now, I think the draft board is playing out pretty ideal for us. We've got a couple good outs to where we can line up Pearsall with George Kittle if we choose to. I love
Mhm.
Matthew Golden here. I love Josh Downs. Like we have a chance to build a really nice receiver room. So I'll let you, whichever one of these you like the most, whether that's the correlation or just a bet on one of these guys. I'm down for any of these three picks.
For sure, yeah. I think I am Matthew Golden over Pearsall straight up, but when we have George Kittle, and I just like betting on the 49ers in general.
Mhm.
And so I'm cool with Pearsall there. I think Pearsall, like I'm not too high on him, but I do see a way where he could end up just being the receiver one on that team.
Mhm.
Like he
Yeah,
could, yeah.
the job's wide open, right? If Ayuk does something like starts the year on the pup list or something, he's not fully recovered from his injury. Like we're getting Ricky Pearsall a couple picks past ADP. I'm willing to take that chance and find out what he is.
No, I agree. Yeah, no, I think Debo's a very polarizing player, but I feel like in the late six, it's not a terrible price because he is a boom and bust player, and I just feel like he's basically like Jaden Reed, right? Just maybe more proven as a player, but
Yeah,
obviously more risky.
yeah, and he has a secure role as the wide receiver too in Washington, right? Like that job is wide open for the taking. So, you take Debo, you kind of get that certainty. So I'm fine with betting on just the volume if that's what it is. I mean, we're a year removed. He was going in like the second round in drafts last year, right? That talent could still be in there. I'm willing to just free roll that bet and take him where he goes now.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And the Ricky Pearsall thing, I don't know. I'm pretty sure Matt Harmon. He does perception, right?
Hmm.
He's
Yep.
very high. He's very high in Ricky Pearsall,
Yeah,
and
and
yeah.
I read his stuff. I'm subscribed to Reception Perception. He notes that they want to use Pearsall in a way that has never been done in the modern like Shanahan offense. So they took him with that in mind. Like Ricky Pearsall came with high draft capital. So if there's going to be a way for him to break out, like Shanahan's going to find it, right? Like he sets his guys up for success. So I think we're betting on that when we make the Pearsall bet. And I'm always willing to bet on a Niner when you have that kind of offensive infrastructure in place.
Exactly. Same here. So we have a 2-4-1 build: Taylor Walker, CeeDee Lamb, JSN, Debo, Ricky Pearsall, and George Kittle. Interesting pick coming up here.
Yeah. Hmm.
I mean, we can do that. You just bet on the whole 49ers. We can do Cooper Cup, bet on Seattle. What else can we do? We could just pull up Purdy as well, unless there's like a
I
RB or
think
tight
Ayuk,
end.
he's past ADP. Let's just lock
Okay.
up the whole Niners situation. If we're lucky, Purdy comes to us. If it's not Purdy, we could take Dak there. We've got some good outs if we want to play it that way. I like the way we've set up our receiver room. We've got a lot of QB outs.
Nah, I love this. And like the Ayuk, like I don't know what's gonna happen with him, right? Is he healthy? We see Stephon Diggs looking really good so far. I haven't seen one video out of Ayuk.
Yeah, like it's very ambiguous. If he does start the year, I think if we get confirmation that he's going to miss a couple games, he's going to fall in ADP. In a contest like this, it doesn't matter because it's a
Yeah.
time box contest. But I'm really trying to be careful with how much AUK exposure I get in a contest like, let's say, BBM or something like that, where it's going to go on all summer. I'm waiting to see how the market's going to react to him falling if he does.
No, that's a great point. So if I yeah, we'll snack Purdy up right here, along as okay. Yeah, this
Yeah,
is easy quick.
this is a perfect spot to take Purdy. If we're lucky on the wraparound, we could either get another running back or Dak if he's there.
Yeah, which, I love that. Like when we're betting on the 49ers, just bet on all of them, right? Because
Mhm.
Ayuk still is the week 17 development where like it could be Ricky Pearsall's crushing it, right? He's the best receiver. And then maybe Ayuk, he's healthy from weeks, 10 to 17 and he's just balling out. And we got a
Yeah.
great price on him.
Yeah, and I think, what we've seen in these Shanahan offenses, it alternates. Like who the number one guy is can alternate from week to week. With us having Purdy, we're always going to have a piece of that. So I feel good about the team we're building out so far. And I think as we get past like pick 100, like they give you a lot of opportunities to take some good backup running backs, some high upside running backs. So I think starting off with JT and Kenneth Walker, like we can feel secure about our upside, and then we can start to build out the rest of that running back room.
For sure, for sure. Yo, what's up? What's up, Pat? How you doing? He says reach up for Bateman, be a man. Oof, oof.
I love Bateman. I'm a big
I
Bateman bull, but it's
yeah, but it's a
our
little
receiver
high.
room's pretty solid. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
someone took him at 110.
I
I think
guess
the
that's what
Lamar drafters on that side of the board, yeah, he typically will go around there.
you know what? Maybe we should have reached for Bateman, man. Maybe we should have took him over Purdy, but
Yeah.
nah. But that is interesting you say though about the RBs where it's like Taylor and Walker, I feel great about as my two RBs, right? Like
Mhm.
love that combo. Once we get into this range of like the early hundreds, the receivers fall off, but the RBs I still like.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of guys who have contingent upside situations. Ooh, someone snagged Dak from us, I believe.
Yeah, so we could do
In a position
either.
like this, how do you want to think about it? I like Drake May here. There's a lot of chance to build a backstack with him, or even if we have to go like and grab like Javante Williams, we can lock up the Dallas thing too.
No, let's do Drake May. I am a May slappy. I think I have like 27% in general.
He's
I
my
just
number
think
one QB too.
is he too? Let's
Yeah,
fucking go.
yeah. I just his rushing upside is just something that I think people don't talk about enough. Like you sound like a crazy person when you start talking. Drake May can run. He had a really high scramble rate in the games he played,
Yeah.
but it's true. Like he really could be a guy that we see just get like 6 rushing touchdowns at 400 yards on the ground and really make a difference.
It's funny because no one believes it either. Like it's
Yeah,
like
everything on the Patriots, everyone is like, even the highest drafted Patriot is like, Trevion Henderson, and he goes in like the 60s, right? People just want to fade the entire offense. I think there's a chance here, like somebody on this offense is going to give us some kind of points. It might just be Drake May. He might just be Josh Allen Jr. That's what I'm betting on.
you know what? I'll say this is player profile has his come to Josh Allen. And remember when Stephon Diggs got traded to the Bills? That was when Josh Allen broke
Mhm.
out. I'm not saying that, I'm just saying Stephon Diggs first year with Drake May. I'm just
Yeah,
saying.
yeah. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but it's there if you want to believe. Like, it's right there in front of us. So
Yeah, but even if he's not Josh Allen, I think he can smash his ADP. I mean, I just like betting on second year quarterbacks who could run.
I would
Mm,
love Javante Williams or Bashal Tutin coming back to us. Either one of the two would be great.
yeah, I
I
like that.
prefer Javante just to have that Dallas situation locked up.
So how are you treated? Are you just straight up Javante, or do you take Blue or and Sanders as well?
For me, I like Javante the most. I think a guy like Miles Sanders, I'm not a big believer. I know he goes late,
Mm,
but Javante to me, he's one of the best pass blockers at the running back position in the entire NFL. So like when you get a guy like him, like he's going to earn the coach's trust really easily. So I could see him just running away with the job early season. Jaden Blue, I want to believe. I'm a little bit skeptical. We've seen these Kamani Vidal types where people just want to hype them into being something, and the coaches really want to go with a guy that they know. I think Javante Williams, while I don't think he's going to be the most efficient runner, I think he's just going to get that starting job in Dallas. And if that is the case, locking up the starting running back and CeeDee Lamb for that offense, I think sets us up really nicely.
yeah, it correlates well. We have CD Lamb already. I'm not gonna take any Javante in BBMs, so I'll concede and do it in contests like that.
You feel like you need a shower after that click, but I like,
Man,
for me, I try to think through it. I'm just like, some running back out of this offense has to pop,
yeah.
right? Like someone's going to get the goal line touches. I think it's most likely Javante. I'm open to it being the other guys, but I'll just take a little sprinkle of everyone where I can. That's my thought right now.
Yeah, and it's a good thought because like I said, like I'm taking Sanders or Blue more, but Javante is a really good pass protector. And I just see Javante Williams scoring 2 rushing touchdowns week 1 and just
Mhm.
being the guy, right? Maybe Dallas just
Mhm.
likes him that much, so it makes sense.
Yeah, if I think about eliminator drafters, like, of all the running backs, Javante is going to be going the highest. So if we need a chaperone to get us to those playoff weeks, like I want a Javante. Maybe we can take some higher upside bets, like rookie RBs later on where we can snag them. But I think a guy like
Mm,
Javante is going to get you through the first half of the season. And then hopefully you have a higher upside room that can carry you through the latter half if you need to. I mean,
yeah, no,
yeah, I see the note. Terrence, I
yeah,
agree. Javante's not good, but he has some qualities that I think is going to keep him on the field. So that's when you go with a guy like that, in my mind. But I'm open to being wrong. Open to being wrong.
for sure. So we're on the clock right now. We will take another quarter. I will see. So we could do Garando, just bet on the 49ers. I don't know if you like a receiver here or
I like Cedric Tillman here, actually. If you're
okay,
on
yeah.
board with,
Yeah, totally cool with the Tillman. I know a lot of people love him. I like him, but I am starting to come more around on his price. I think it's decent for what he could do here.
yeah,
Receiver
like.
6 too. It makes sense, right? Brandon Ayuk might start a little slow, so just get another receiver.
Yeah, and I think for Tillman, like if by the time training camp ends and we know for sure that Jerry Judy and Cedric Tillman are going to be the two wide receivers that start in two wide receiver sets, I think his price is going to go way up. Like he's going to be on the field. They're going to want to get him the ball as the X receiver in that offense. I think that that's an attractive bet, and we're making it a kind of a cheap price. So I'm interested if that's the setup that we get. If he doesn't pan out to be anything, it didn't cost us the world. He's our WR6, but I think Tillman, he could be pretty interesting if he secures a starting role in that offense.
For sure, for sure. And one thing too is like he missed like what the last 5, 6 games of the season.
Hmm.
Where I feel like maybe if he does miss time, people are just taking him higher because usually drafters react to kind of the end of the season, right? Where if Tillman had those 3 games, 4 games where he was crushing it, weeks 15 to 17, dude, he's getting pulled by Bateman,
Hmm.
probably.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, he's a complete unknown. Like we don't really know much about Tillman. He's a big guy. He's that traditional X receiver. But I think that if he flashes anything, like when Best Ball Mania Resurrection comes around, he could be going like 8th round, 7th round, 9th round. If he flashes to be something. At running back, I like any of the choices you pulled up. So I'll defer to you on that one. I think the
Okay.
Washington connection is good. I like Tyler Algier as well.
For sure, yeah. Austin Eckler, I think it makes sense, right? We have this Cowboys and Washington thing going, and
Mhm.
I think Eckler's just kind of underpriced with where he goes.
Yeah, I think when we talk about those screen game targets, those short area targets, like Eckler and Debo are going to be very likely to be recipients of that in the Kingsbury offense. So, nabbing up that secure volume, we can take that. And we got some elder statesmen in here, Eckler and Javante, some veteran running backs. We can snap some upside later if we choose to.
That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna get a rookie RB on this team. Don't worry, guys. We will. We promise you. What's up, fam? What's up? Uh who?
And we could
How
we
did
could
the?
line up Hunter Henry if we want, if he's still on the board. I'm not sure if he's gone already.
Oh, that's right. We have so no. Yeah. So we do have May. I would like to get Henry. We could do, and
Henry or
then
Demario Douglas, that would be nice to kind of close that out.
well, I was gonna say because we have 2 week 14 buys. Do you feel like we should target Sam Darnold for the stack, or do we just
Yeah,
drop the buys?
I like Darnold or Gino to give us that optionality, like give us an out with the 2 week 14 by QBs. I
Yeah.
like that thought process.
Yeah, and it makes sense too, right? If we're betting on Walker Jason, it's probably because Sam Darnold's crushing his ADP, or at least is beating it. So
Yeah, Yeah, and I think for some of these teams, like when you build a team like this, like once you get past 150, like pick 150, just lock up your guys, right? If you have a stack you're building, like there's no reason to try and push Geno Smith, right? If you need him, or push Sam Darnold. Like if he comes up here on 164, let's just snag him and then make sure we have that like coverage for that week 14 bye.
Yeah, so what we could do, okay, so where's Douglas at? So I was gonna say we could either do Henry and then get Sam Darnold if he falls to us, or we take Sam and then whoever falls, we get.
Let's go Henry. There's a
Let's go
couple
Henry. Yeah.
guys that are 3 QB inside of us. I think we can dare them. Kind of. I think Cam Ward will go first if one of these.
Yeah.
Yep. So that's what I would think. And then
This
I'd be
guy's Cooper
surprised.
Cup, so he's the one that we would probably worry about. But I don't think he's gonna take Sam Darnold.
Yeah, and I think that week 14 is so late in the season that if we really wanted to, we could just nab like a Jackson Dart type or something like that,
Mhm.
just to give us that coverage if we really are, if that bye week really scares us. That's the benefit of having such a late bye. Some of your upside bets can take over, regardless of position.
That's a great point. Yeah, I agree with that. I do think we'll get Sam, which I think is strong for what we're building. What's your take on 2 versus 3 quarterbacks? Like, are you more 3 quarterback heavy? How are you doing it if you take an elite and
Yeah,
etc.?
and that's a big conversation right now. I made a post not that long ago, I think last week, just saying like this 3 QB thing has gotten out of hand. For me, the way I look at it, if I take a QB like after pick 100, if my first QB is coming there, I want three just to give me that stability. But overall, like if I take an elite, like if I take Jaden Daniels, Josh Allen, if I get Lamar, I'm fine with only going two. I'll take like Josh Allen and then get like a Drake May or something like that after. Like I think we don't need the 3 QB. It's good, like, and it's held well in all like the different years of BBM. But I just think it's not always necessary, and I think it's so popular now that I'm curious to see what the results are going to be now that every single team is thinking, I have to have 3 quarterbacks. And I don't think it's a necessity to that extent.
It's very interesting. It's a good thought experiment because usually when the market zags, you want to zig, vice
Mhm,
versa. But I think in general, 3 quarterbacks is fine. Like, right, like regardless if more people are doing it. I think obviously how you build the 3 quarterbacks matters, and the targets of 3 quarterbacks, right? Like, if I do take Jay Daniels, I'm probably stopping at 2. But
agreed.
if I have a team where sometimes you might have, like, let's say, you have a couple fallers at RB that usually wouldn't be there, but you get, and now you feel like you could stop at 5 RBs because you feel so strong there. So now you have a luxury pick. I think you could take a Jaden Daniels, um, a Drake May, and then throw on maybe a Cam Ward because maybe a lot of teams won't have that
Mhm.
type of build, and then Cam Ward has upside to maybe spike week 15 to get you by, and Jaden Daniels and Drake May do the rest, right?
Yeah, I agree. To me, I want to think about my QB rooms as like, what is the upside here? So I think where
Hmm.
I think I don't like what people do is that like they mechanically think I have to have 3 QBs on my team no matter what. So I see people taking the Joe Flacco's, taking the Russell
Oof,
Wilsons. I'm like, these
oof.
guys might not hit your lineup at all this year. Like you don't have to have 3 QBs and just take any name. Like if I'm gonna get a third quarterback, I want it to be a guy who's gonna matter in my team build. I think, Joe Flacco may not hit your lineup in 2025 people. So I don't know if you have to draft 3 quarterbacks if that's what's on the board.
You're speaking my language, brother. Man, this is interesting. So I don't know if there's any receivers you like here or
I
Shipley
think we
Hunt.
can just take Will Shipley straight up. Like that gives us
Okay.
the upside versus like the Javante and the Ecklers of the world. Like people are starting to sour on the Shipley price. I like it. I think like Shipley, if everything broke his way, like we could see him in battle royales. Like let's say Saquon is out, he's going in the second
Mhm.
round of battle royales, like week 6 or something like that. If like he is the guy and Saquon is out for some reason, I think if you're fading Saquon, like you have to be getting overexposed to Will Shipley just because like we know the Eagles RB position is going to score.
That's a great point, and that's what I'm doing because I have 3% Barkley, but I have like 18% Will Shipley.
Mhm.
because, like you said, if you're fading Barkley, why are you fading him? Because you're
Yeah,
concerned he's probably going to get hurt.
yeah.
And if, yeah,
Yeah, like he's cheap. He goes in the 180s. Like there's guys like Zach Charbonnet that is going to cost you like a pick in the 110s to nab. Like and these guys are all like they're all the same contingent upside running back bet. I liked Slayton. And then for Seattle, like the Seattle Week 17 game is against the Panthers, so we can line up Jalen Coker as well if that's something
okay.
that intrigues you. I like Slayton more than him, but in case Slayton's gone by the time we wrap back around, and that's where when I think about like people are so bearish on the Seahawks, I'm like they play a historically bad defense, and the Carolina Panthers in Week 17, like they could put up legitimately like 35 points on that defense, right? And we would not be surprised. So I'm like, I look at the matchups in the playoff schedule as well, and I'm like, Seattle could just smash, honestly. Like, and they're all so cheap that I don't mind taking them.
Well, no, like one thing like I'm trying to do too, where it's like Panthers are a terrible defense, which I just think suits up for the whole offense, especially Walker in the running game. But it's like if you're able to identify an offense that's like super cheap, but they overperform their ADP, you have a huge edge on the market. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I think the Seahawks, they do concern me a little bit, but like I said, if Sam Darnold is anything close to what he showed last year, Cooper Cup, maybe he's not washed. Maybe he is, healthy. The offensive line might be better this year. Like the Seahawks could be a sneaky team to just overperform. And if they are, they have an amazing playoff schedule.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I try to think about is like in the story of our team, like, we were successful in taking two Seahawks and then Sam Darnold fell right into our laps. Like, so that's how I want
Yeah.
to think about, like, I want to think about like the early part of the draft when I build my team, but also as it gets later, it's like, okay, what kind of stacks can I set up? So like taking those Seahawks, like gives us just another out, like how we got boxed in with those week 14 bye QBs. Bam, Sam Darnold sitting right there for us. So I like thinking about team building in that way as well. We've got like a couple. We've got a Niners story here. We've got a Patriots story, a Seahawks story, and then
Mhm.
we've got the Washington Dallas game that we're building out as well. So this team has a lot of different outs in Week 17 to really get us to the chicken.
Yeah, this is beautiful. This is a beautiful squad we're building right now. Important question though. We need to know what snacks you got in the pantry.
I think right now I have that Buldak ramen. I think that's in there.
Ooh,
I've got a lot of other stuff. I got some honey roasted almonds in there. So just a variety of things. I got some unhealthy and some healthy.
you need a
And this
balance,
this
right?
might be
Yeah.
a hot take, but I think we could go Mac Hollins here with this
Matt
pick. It's
Collins.
I know deep cut, but we have only one stacking partner for Drake May. We're already betting on
Uh-huh.
the Patriots. Mac Hollins might be the starting X in that offense. If he's not, doesn't cost
Yeah.
us anything. It's our last pick on the board. But if he is, like, I don't presume Stephon Diggs is going to start at X. Like maybe Diggs is going to be the flanker in that offense, and Demario Douglas is going to start at the slot. It's really unknown who the X receiver is going to be in that offense. It could be Kyle Williams. It could be Matt Collins. It could be Keishon Butte. I think like when you take a Patriots like quarterback, like you have a lot of outs in the last round, whether it's Butte that you want to grab, whether it's Matt Collins. I think, these kind of bets are free. Like we could just take Matt Collins and see what happens. Like if he's nothing, we have seven other wide receivers. If he's something, at pick 212, I don't mind finding out.
Yeah, we get unique. I personally never took Matt Collins yet, but I've tempted with the idea a little bit. And I've been a Patriots fan my whole life, right? I'm a Patriots fan. I've seen the Patriots do the craziest stuff at receiver every
Mhm,
time, where it's like, I don't know who's playing, right? We always
mhm.
have 6 and 7 guys that could play, and you never know who's going to be out there. So Matt Collins, week 17, baby. I
Yeah,
can see it.
yeah, and I think Vrabel is a guy that I think is going to lean towards like security and like the guys at the position who are going to do the right thing. I think Matt Collins, what he showed in that Buffalo offense, like was he a high upside bet? No. Was he on the field? Yes. To catch touchdowns from Josh Allen. If we think Drake May is going to be Josh Allen 2.0, let's get him a guy at X receiver who's going to run the routes, run the playbook correctly, and just be on the field to potentially snag us a touchdown or two in week 17 and get us some money here.
Yeah, and worst case, we're still gonna win this anyways. It'll be cool just to flex. Hey, we had Matt Collins on this team.
The winning team had Matt Collins, man. Like stunned the nation.
Stun the nation. I love it. Um, who actually is this Al Boogie? No, it's not Al Boogie. It is the Silver Falcon. It is actually the BBM six winner this year. Al Boogie, he's a good friend of mine. He finished 11th in BBM last year.
Oh wow, that's
Yeah,
a
no,
fantastic.
yeah.
Wasn't he known for like being like the Matt Collins Bowl?
I don't know, but
Okay.
I wouldn't be surprised because he has strong takes, and his takes are like he'll ruffle feathers in the community. But
Mhm.
but he was right last year, right? Obviously BBM. One of his takes I'll give his sauce is he has like 30% Juwan Jennings, I believe.
You know what's funny? That's probably my favorite receiver this season. I'll say that.
Real
Him
and
and Josh Downs, like if Jennings, I'll reach on Jennings like 10 picks ahead of ADP. Like I don't even care. It's to that extent.
wow, that is amazing. And who says this is because he has the same name, future best ball
Oh,
mania six champ.
that's funny.
No,
No,
it's just yeah, he's not out boogie. It's just uh copyright. We'll
yeah,
see.
multiple claims to the throne. We'll find out who the real one is.
That's funny. Yo, what's up, Steve? Welcome, man. It's going great. Me and Charles are building this monster. Well, we just finished. We're gonna go over it right now. Doing great. Happy 4th of July to you and everybody in here. Is this a hot take? Jordan James over Will Shipley
I
when
think that's
you
too
have
spicy for
Isaac
me.
Randall, the true RB2 in the backfield there.
Yeah, that's too spicy to digest for me. I like Jordan James's profile, but Shipley's role as the number two is now unquestioned. He's got AJ Dillon behind him, who might as well be just a bag of dust. You know, they let Kenneth Gainwell go, and the coaching staff over there in Philadelphia really liked Gainwell. So to me, that speaks like, hey, Shipley is gonna be the number two out there, and he had a huge run in the playoffs for the Eagles. I think he has some juice. Shipley does, and
Yeah.
if he ends up starting some games, like this is a guy that like when you're building DFS lineups, you're going to be paying to get Shipley if he's starting for the Eagles, no matter what week it is.
I remember that run in the playoff, and I thought it was Barkley that scored that touchdown, or had that run. Like I did, I was like, "Yo,
It was
Barkley,
50
another one."
plus yards. Yeah, it was a
Yeah,
really good run. Like he's got some ability and he's behind like the best or maybe second best offensive line in football. Like he doesn't have to do a lot. Like if he gets the ball, like this guy will smash and he will like let's say Barkley for some reason before the season started, like Barkley is not playing this year and we know that. Will Shipley is going like in the fourth or in the fifth, something like that. Like,
yeah,
his ADP will go nuts if he has to start games for the Eagles this year.
yeah, 100%. The reports are great right now. Beat writers are saying that he looks like he's a clear number two, and it makes sense. I mean, I think because they traded Kenneth Gainwell right to the Steelers, or did he
Yeah,
sign?
yeah. Kenneth Gainwell is out of there now, so it's like the job
Yeah,
is open for the taking. Like Barkley, nothing may happen to him. Barkley may play all year. Shipley may just be like kind of a relief back in that offense, like, and that's fine. But the contingent upside is too tantalizing to just pass up on. I think Jordan James, while interesting, I don't know if he has a role in the offense for the Niners right now. So I can't get there on him being better than Shipley.
yeah, not now. Like one thing about these RBs that go later is I'm not drafting a bunch until I have more information. Where if we get reports that Jordan James is running ahead of Isaac Randall, I'm gonna move Jordan James up my rankings very high
Mhm.
because obviously I want the backup to CMC. But right now we just don't know, so I just don't think it's smart, or I just don't think I'm gonna have a heavy bag of Jordan James right now until we get more information.
Yeah, by the time these guys matter, like they'll rise up in price, but we'll still be able to take even J.K. Dobbins. Like I see a lot of people, the screenshot equity of like I got J.K. Dobbins so late. Like he goes like pick 122 now, right? Like I can still take him if he
Yeah,
ends up mattering. I think that's how I'm trying to think about it. I want to take these guys when there's some security behind the position. I just don't want to buy blindly. Sometimes it'll work out, and then sometimes you get Kamani Vidal. So I don't want to
yeah.
get Kamani Vidal the second year in a row. So that's why I'm fading guys like Jordan James until I have that information.
So I did. I had like 15% Dobbins in like the 180s, 90s, right? Because I was like, I felt like he was going to sign somewhere. But you know what? I'm still taking Dobbins in the 120s. Like
I like him even more now. Like
yeah, yeah,
if we walk into week one and Dobbins is going to be the starting running back of the Denver Broncos, like people think it might be RJ Harvey. RJ Harvey might take that job later in the year, but Dobbins still has some upside even at this price, right? Like I saw that RJ Harvey, I forget who tweeted it, was like the worst pass blocking running back of this draft class. Like
yeah.
when I see stuff like that, and we know what kind of coaches in Denver, like that's how you lose trust really easily. That could see him be off the field for third downs, off the field in good drives, like off the field for second half of games. Like Dobbins is still very attractive at his current price. I'll draft him where he goes now, just because we have that security.
Yeah, I will too. I just want RBs that are in good offenses that I think that's going to be in a timeshare, which Sean Payton's always had a history of committee back, and
Mhm.
I think Dobbins will have a role all year. Um, so let's go over this team, and then I'm going to be doing another Chihuahua. I don't know if you're down to or you have time, but you're more than
Yeah,
welcome to.
yeah, I'll do another.
All right, awesome. So we have a 3-5-8-2 build right here. Purdy, May, Sam Darnold, kind of the perfect three quarterback team if I'm doing it myself. So
Mhm.
I like this. Taylor Walker, Javante Eckler, Will Shipley. I'm fine with it. Like this is kind of like you have your two anchors, Taylor Walker, Javante. Like I said, will only click in contests like this, but I do see the case for him being the guy there. And then Eckler's another one where I think he has a good floor and he has a little contingent value, like we saw last year when Bieber was hurt. He was an RB1 for like 3 weeks. And then Will Shipley's obviously just the guy if Barkley gets hurt.
Mhm. Yep.
And then right here, just receivers. I mean, CeeDee Lamb, JSN, Debo, Ricky Pearsall, IU, Tillman, Coker, Matt Collins got stacked. So, you
Matt Collins
know,
put an asterisk next to his name, but he could be anything. He could even be Matt Collins from 2024.
hey man, you know what? Just to say that, hey, we made it to the finals with Matt Collins, like, I'll take it. I don't care. But we have all stacks, all quarterbacks are stacked. George Kittle, love him. Hunter Henry, who I'm sure because you have a lot of May, you have a lot of Hunter Henry as well,
Hmm.
right? Yeah. So
Yep.
this was a solid team, 3-5-8-2 right here.
Yeah, I like this structure where you get a elite tight end, like leaving, the room with just two in total. I feel comfortable with that. I'm not someone that I feel like people want to have like a safe floor at every position. So they'll take three QBs and take three tight ends. And I think that leaves me a little tight at, the positions that I think matter a little bit more in running back and wide receiver. So this build that we have right now is probably my most frequently drafted build. I love this build.
Oh, let's fucking go. I love hearing that, man. Gets me hyped up. We're gonna be doing another one. So if anyone's watching and wants to hop in 10 seconds, I'm gonna be entering into a Chihuahua 20 second.
And let me grab a drink. I'll join you.
All right, go ahead, my guy. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and we are entering 10 more people, guys. We need 10 more people. Agreed. I think Shipley probably has the best contingent value, especially at cost. Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of there with you. I think Shipley would get majority of the work if Barkley went down. If you're down on Barkley, you should be drafting a lot of Barkley. And even if you're high on Barkley, he's still worth taking because of price. Yeah, I think you could like if you're not if you're fading Barkley, I think you should just draft more a Will Shipley and also the pass catchers there. But also you could take both. Like I do that with CMC. I have like 15% CMC and I have like 18% Garando because like you're betting on chaos and certain bets. The bet is CMC's an RB1 overall, or he gets hurt and Garando's an RB1. So I want exposures to both.
Yeah, and that's where I kind of get confused where people are fine with taking Saquon Barkley in the first three picks, but his direct backup, people are fine with like just letting hang out in the 180s. A guy like Kenneth Walker goes like in the 50s, but his backup, Zach Charbonnet, we're taking him like 110, 120, right? Like
Yeah.
These guys have the same contingent upside. Will Shipley's contingent upside is even greater. It's he's backing up a top 3 pick, and he goes way later than a guy like Charbonnet or even Tyler Algier, who's the backup to Bijan Robinson. Like, I just don't understand the hesitancy of taking the RB2 to the running back that we think is going to be the best in fantasy football this year. I think that Shipley is probably going to continue to rise, and he's probably going to start going around the Tyler Algiers, the Ray Davises, and things like that. And I think that's a fair price for him based on the contingent upside.
It's a great point. I mean, if we think and it's all about the bets you make, like how you beat this game is, hey, like Will Shipley's 40 picks undervalued. I'm gonna be overweight on him because if like who's more likely to, what's more riskier, Barkley or Bijan this year? I think Barkley's a riskier pick, right? Just because of the touch distribution he had last year. He had 478 touches. He's 29 years old. He's shown a career of getting hurt. But Tyler Algier, because he had a great season and he's a clear number 2, he's elevated up in price. Will Shipley, like people will say we don't know he's a number 2, fair. But if I'm making a bet that he is, that's just telling me, hey, I'm getting a great pick at a great price.
And even if Will Shipley's a 0, like he's a cheap 0. Like picks after 150, like statistically speaking, they're not going to be all that important. They're not going to score often for your lineup. So if I'm going to pick there, I'm going to pick guys with super sky high upside.
100%. So Puka, Neighbors, you choose who you want to build on this team.
I probably like Puka more here.
Okay.
Neighbors is my number 1 exposed first round player. But to be different, I'll go Puka. I think Puka's number 2. So I like them both. But I think Puka has a little bit of a more secure situation with Stafford throwing him the ball.
Yeah, one thing too, I do like when Drake London falls too. It's fun to pair those two together.
Yeah, that's a super high upside, wide receiver room. Yeah, Achan's price is slowly starting to creep up. Ideally, he would have been the
It
guy that
sucks, man.
here. Yeah,
I love HN. Like
he's like another first rounder to me. Like when I do that, when I get a start like that, I view it as like I got 2 first round picks in my mind.
Yeah. Is it AJ Ladd or is there someone else that you would want to go with?
I think between AJ Ladd, I could do either. I think AJ's fine.
Yeah, we talk about fading Barkley. So it's like if I'm fading Barkley, I should be higher on the pass catchers because I think they're going to pass more or Barkley's hurt. Also want to shout out, we have T Bear in the draft with us. So, it's going to be great when he snipes Will Shipley from us. Just trying to reverse psychology this. And we also have
Jordan
Steve.
James on his team. Oh, Steve's in here.
Yeah. We have Steve, who, if you don't know, I think made 16 finals only last year. So only we're in a lobby with only a guy that made only 16 finals last year. No pressure.
There's some heavy hitters in here. I love Steve's tweets. I followed him not too long ago. A lot of insight that comes from his direction. Hopefully, these guys are less sharp than I think they are, for our sake.
I wish I could say that, but I had Steve on my live stream before, and no, he's sharp. He's sharp. His sister's sharp, and shout out Fanspeak. They have a Substack subscriptions. I believe only $35 for the whole year. Go check it out, guys. They're dropping fire content every week. And also, speaking of Substack, you do some writing as well, right?
Yeah, I just started getting into the Substack streets, putting some of my thoughts, pen to paper, just, getting some expressions about best ball out there. I do have one. It's Silver Lightning 41 for anyone who enjoys reading more in the visual format. I'm going to be dropping a couple articles here and there. So feel free to check that out if it's something that interests you.
Yeah, there you go. I just posted it in the YouTube chat. Go check it out, guys. As you can tell, he's a very sharp drafter. So go check his stuff out. Puka AJ Brown. Well, okay, we'll make this pick, and then I want to talk about HN a little bit. But I mean, come on, man. I mean, if Hill falls or McBride, I think those are auto clicks right here.
Yeah, to me, McBride, Hill, or Brees Hall, I would feel comfortable walking away with any of those 3 guys.
Okay, so both go. So I'm cool. Let's do a Brees build. Get that RB in right now. He definitely could just smash his ADP where he's going.
And let's see what the board looks like. Let's see what the folks to our right are up to. Okay, two RB start. We could see him slapping wide receiver for like 5 straight rounds. Um, and I think at 58, we'll probably be looking at like a Kamara, James Conner, guys like that. So if you want to take wide receiver or Jaden Daniels with that next pick, I'm on board with that as well. I think it looks like the elite QBs are kind of falling a little bit in this draft.
Yeah. So 100% of the time when I have a later pick, I'm always walking away with at least one RB here because I do think the 5-6 turn, the RBs there are just very good compared to everything else.
And then the
Wow,
three
three
QBs
three
go
elites just like
whatever.
that.
Yeah, they heard us. I should have kept quiet.
Yeah, yeah. It's okay though. What receivers do you take when you do take one between Moore, Metcalf, or the JMO? Or do you do
Funny
or do
enough, I'm a contrarian. I would have taken Metcalf here, but I'm fine with
okay.
DJ Moore, honestly,
Oh,
of
you
these.
like more this year?
Yeah, I like Moore just because like I don't have a lot of exposure to him, and honestly, somebody in Chicago is going to be the number one target. Moore is probably most likely to be that person. I think I'm drafting a lot of Colston Loveland, more Luther Burden. I'm kind of fading like the Roma Dunze, DJ Moore stuff, but I do think that he has that role with a little bit of security. So I like taking him here just in terms of who has the highest upside of who's on the board.
Yeah. I mean, Moore's I think a good pick here. I don't think he's gonna burn you. His props are very high. They're projecting for him to have another great year. Dude caught 98 passes, I think, when Caleb was bad. So I think there's even more upside for Moore. As long as like Burden and Loveland aren't like fucking just like, dominating touches because they're really good.
Yeah, and I mean, even Ben Johnson was lamenting the fact that Luther Burden is like currently missing like OTAs, right? He's missing time getting reps with Caleb. Like, what that tells me is the guys who are on the field, like, Loveland isn't practicing, Burden isn't practicing, like DJ Moore and Rome, like they're getting a chance to really work these routes with, Caleb Williams. I think that's going to set them up well for next season. We'll see who's there when training camp starts, but DJ Moore, he should be going into the season with a lot to prove. I don't think his role as the number one guy is fully secure. If he wants to keep that, he's got to prove himself on the field. That's what I would imagine.
Yeah, I agree. I see Steve has the Hurts, Devontae, and the Barkley stack. I love whenever I have close to a 4 or 5 turn, I always try to do this Devontae and Hurts. I think it's one of the best moves you could do right now because I
Yeah.
do think Hurts is going to move up in price, and you're going to get to a point where I don't think you're going to be able to get Hurts and Devontae at the 4 or 5 turn for much longer.
Yeah, Hurts in the fifth is just disgusting upside for what you can get.
Yeah.
I think here I like Chuba Hubbard the most.
Woo!
Even though that Travis Hunter slide is nice,
It
I'm
is
just
nice,
concerned
yeah.
if we let running back pass here, I'm not gonna like who comes back to us on the turn. But this Hunter slide is very nice. But honestly, I think Hunter probably should be priced around here anyways. But I go back and forth on that.
Me too, right? I like Hunter's like one of the players where it's like one day I love him, one day I'm like, no, I don't want to take him. But I do think he's going to slide a little more, and I think Chuba has been rising more. So we could get to where Hunter maybe starts to go more in the mid to late fifth, and Chuba is more the 4 or 5 turn. So I'm okay with taking Chuba there. Love him as a RB2 as well.
Yeah, I will say Hubbard is one of those players where I don't understand his price whatsoever. Like just based off of production, I would expect him to be going like a round higher than he does, right? Like I don't know if I would take Jamison Williams over Chuba Hubbard just straight up. Like I think I would take Hubbard in that situation if both are on the board, but the market seems to think otherwise. But Hubbard was a guy who could score really well, and he seems like the center of the identity for the Panthers. Like most of the scoring is either going to come through Ted McMillan, I imagine, or on the ground via Chuba Hubbard. So I like him where we got him for sure. I think it builds us a really good team right now.
Yes, I agree. So coming up here, how do you feel about the RBs and receivers here? What's your lean?
Um, Connor would have been my first lean.
Yeah.
I think who I like most on the board here is probably Jacoby Myers, but we can pivot
Okay.
off if you want to. If you like Travion Henderson, we can do that too.
You know what? Let's do a Jacoby. I don't draft a lot of Jacoby, but everyone's saying Brock Bowers has a way better quarterback upgrade. They're saying he, projecting him for more. Jacoby Myers is getting quarterback upgrade as well, and he's been pretty good the last 2 years.
Yeah, I think the QB upgrade matters most for Jacoby Myers. I think that Geno Smith is going to be able to put the ball to him in such a great position. Like Bowers is such a big target, and he's running these routes over the middle of the field most of the time. Like he's going to get his, but Jacoby, like he might have a ceiling unlocked here that we may not expect. So like just based off the raw point totals, like if you told me Jacoby Myers was going to score 180, 190 fantasy points, I think he should be going like a round or two higher as well.
And he's done that the last 2 years. Like he's scored 180 points like around that the last 2 years, and he does seem like the perfect receiver to mesh well with Geno Smith in the offense. It's just one of
Mhm.
those clicks though, where it's like, man, like we have the rookie Matthew Golden, he's sexy. We have these rookie running backs. I just think it's more about like he's probably a better pick than the guys around him, but it's just hard to
Mhm.
click him because he's boring.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Like people are just like tired of taking Jacoby Myers. They want him to be in this range every year. And I think, that week 17 game they get against the Giants, like that could just be like the Raiders could just pour it on. And if they do, like, Myers can end up giving us a lot of points in week 17. So I like taking him and setting up that Geno stack if we choose to later on in the draft as well. We've got outs to Caleb, Stafford, Jacoby Myers, and then, maybe if we get another wide receiver here or a tight end, we can set up a different QB as well.
For sure. So like whenever we get around this pick, you never know what falls to you because it's like we're either gonna have like Caleb, Swift, RBs will fall, or sometimes they steam up and then we'll have the receivers that I like as well.
Yeah, and I
We're in,
I
we're
see.
yeah we're in a position where we could go either.
Yeah, and it would have been nice to get Swift here, but he just
Yeah,
goes. Aaron Jones is nice. One of the two Green Bay receivers is also nice. If we could get
Josh
any of
Downs
those,
obviously. Yeah.
yeah, like I like where we're at right now. This guy has four wide receivers, so I would hope that he takes a running back here and frees us up to maybe get Aaron Jones or one of the three guys we have on deck.
So are you're Aaron Jones over Tony?
Right here, I would take Jaden Reed just because that sets us up with that Philly Green
Love
Bay game.
that.
I love that. I love getting a stack on that week 17 game. So I think we could take that and then see what we want to do at RB later on.
Well, week 17, we're gonna take Reed, but week 17, the Eagles play the Bills.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. That's right, actually. Yeah. My bad on that. I think I'm thinking of week one last year.
Yeah, yeah. When Jada Reed was the receiver one that week against the Philadelphia Eagles, and
Yeah.
I was upset because I was fading him, and I was like, well, he's gonna bury me. But I do
Yeah.
like Reed. I do like Reed a lot this year. I think he's going at a good price. I like Reed
Yeah.
and Golden. I think both of them you should be drafting. So we have Brees Chuba and then five receivers. This is an interesting turn right here because the RBs we either had to pull Mason up. Oh, we're having some connection issues with the future championship, but it's okay. I'm gonna have to wing this pick. Um, you know what? I keep telling myself I want more Mecca. I just got to do it because every time I'm trying to get a Mecca, he never falls to me. He's always going like 4 or 5 picks earlier. We're gonna try to get him back in 1 second. Bro, this is what we're rocking with a 2-6 build right now. Two RBs, two receivers. We could definitely stop at the six receivers here, right? I feel really strong about this right now. Let me see how he's doing. But yeah, this is a fun team, fun draft. We have a lot of stacking options we could do later. We have a little quarterback run going. We have Justin Fields pulls up. Steve takes Patrick Mahomes. We have T Bear with the Bo Nix. Does he have Sutton or just took Bo Nix? Okay. He goes Bo Nix and Purdy. I like that. Yo, what's up? RM Covers. How you doing, baby? Welcome in. And happy 4th of July. I love that it's 4th of July and we're just drafting. Drafting never stops. All right, so for stacking options, we could do a Caleb here. I don't mind that. For RB, I'm cool with Warren. I think he's a solid RB3. That's guaranteed touches. Receiver, probably not going to look at for some time. No, never drafting. 20, oh, there we go. The man, the myth, the
Sorry
BBM6
about
winner.
that. Had a little disconnection moment somehow.
You're good. So I had to obviously, wing it. We took a Mecca. I just felt like he was the best pick on the board here. So right now, we could take Warren as our RB3. We could stack Caleb Williams.
I like the Caleb option. Let's lock up
Let's
a
do Caleb.
high
Okay,
upside quarterback, and then I think on the wraparound we grab Jordan Love, and then we can set
I
ourselves
love
up.
that. Ooh, and then we can set ourselves with maybe a
Tucker
double tight
Craft.
end or
Yeah,
Lovely.
if we like, let's see what the board looks like. If we're around the early 130s for our next pick, after that, yeah, we would get Tucker Craft right around 128. I think it's ADP's 130. That would be perfect. I love him as a high upside tight end.
I love that. I love that too. So what do you feel about Mecca? I like. Are you in on him this year?
I'm in on Emeka Egbuka, and I think he's so interesting because he was a wide receiver in college that was so steady. Like he gave really consistent performance. He racked up a lot of yards at his time at OSU. Like this is a guy that the other guys he played with think that he's like this elite wide receiver prospect. He got first round draft capital. Like I think people are worried because the receiver room in Tampa Bay is a little bit crowded, but like what we're hearing right now, we're hearing that he can play all across the formation. Like
Mm-hmm.
I want in on a guy like that. Like he can be used in any role in that offense. So for Emeka Egbuka, like wheels up for him. And if the season starts and you tell me Chris Godwin's going to miss 4 games, the Egbuka price is going up. The price of the brick is going up. So his ADP could be like, 6th round or something like that. If we know that, I don't think that we should be drafting based on week 1, but if we think about the ADP that he could have in August, if he starts, like we know he's going to be starting in 3 wide receiver sets, like, and we know that maybe he's starting in 2 wide receiver sets if Godwin's not there. I want as much of this guy as possible. We saw what McMillan did in the playoff weeks last year, as a distant wide receiver 3. I think Egbuka's even better than McMillan was.
You said it well, man. I've been trying to get more Ibuka, but his ADP has moved up because every time I'm at ADP to pick him, he goes 4 or 5 picks earlier. So
Mhm.
like I think he's only gonna creep up. And I think he's just a really good receiver. Mike Evans is old. He always hurts his hamstrings. Chris Godwin had a major injury last year. He's almost 30 years
Mhm.
old. This is an offense that can support 3 receivers. And if we look back in history, where I'm not saying Nemeka is the same prospect at JSN or Rome, but we have a first round receiver that we really like on a great offense that's going near the 90s when JSN and Rome were both what around like the 5th and 6th round. So I don't know. I do agree with what you said. I think Mecca's only gonna move up as August comes.
Yeah, he's in a sensational offense. And we could go Loveland here or Tucker Craft if he's on the board. Someone might have taken Craft. So
Ooh,
Loveland, I
Kraft
like him.
Wentz. I'm okay with that. I'm sure you've been seeing Loveland getting hyped on Twitter lately.
Yeah, Loveland to me, he's my highest exposed player in all of this year's best ball. Like, I just think that we're reading their intentions with Loveland completely wrong. I don't think that Cole Kmet is a guy that, is going to keep me up at night. Like, I think
Yeah.
Loveland, like, he was taken in the first 10 picks. Like, Ben Johnson wants him to be something in his offense. This guy's 6'6". He can run routes like a wide receiver. Like the fact that his ADP is falling is like stunning to me. So I want to get as much love as I possibly can. If he pans out with the kind of draft capital that he got, like this guy could be important and could be a top 10 tight end in fantasy this year.
Yeah, then you have obviously the Ben Johnson, Sam Laporta connection, right? Where it's like, rookie tight end. I've been trying to get more Loveland. Real quick, I think we should take RB here.
Yeah, I like Ray Davis here.
Or Davis. We have the
Yeah.
week 17 with the Eagles as well. So, little bonus points. But
Yeah,
uh
like
if I don't get George Kittle or if like my Brighter Bowers falls, I wait. And my favorite is to target the range of David Njoku, Kraft, Loveland, and Tyler Warren. Those are probably like my four highest tight end exposures outside of like maybe like like Kittle and Chig and stuff. But like I really like attacking the tight ends in this range.
Yeah, I'm completely on board with you. Like that's what keeps me hesitant from like when Brock Bowers was going a little bit earlier, when he was going, his ADP was around like pick 15, pick 14, something like that. And I was very hesitant to do that because I think in a single week sample, a guy like Tucker Craft or a guy like David Njoku, like they can get me like I don't want to say Bowers level upside, but they can be the TE1 or TE2 in a week, but I don't have to give up a second round pick to get that kind of upside. I think I'm attracted to that. Like I would rather have like Colson Loveland, Tucker Craft, and Joku be my tight end room than me give up a second round pick. I'm missing on Tyreek Hill. I'm missing on Jonathan Taylor, all these guys to get like Trey McBride or Brock Bowers. Like when, some of these late round tight ends this year are very attractive. Like they profile straight up to outscore. Like if you told me that Joku outscored Jack Beck, like I believe that. Like truth serum, I think Tucker Craft like outscores Kyle Williams, right? Like some of
Oh,
these tight ends just
easily.
yeah,
Yeah.
they just straight up profile better even in the flex than the guys they go next to at these other positions. So I love late round tight end this year if I can get a crack at it. If I get an early round tight end, I love it. But otherwise, from the Njoku, Mark Andrews range down, I like what I see.
Agreed. So this is an interesting pick. Obviously, I think we could get a quarterback on the way in, but like, do you like Goddard here, Durando? We can do
Mhm.
another RB.
I like Goddard here. We only have one tight end. I think the RB options coming back to us will be attractive.
I would say
But
because like we have 2 week 5 buys, so I was like, do we take Gino on the way back as well, or
yeah, we could think about Gino on the way back. Actually, I
okay,
would like that more. I think the late round RBs will be attractive.
yeah,
So
and we
and
can
then we
stop
have
at two tight ends if we want to.
yeah, in case someone snipes us, like Stafford is there as well. We could grab Gino or Stafford, either one. I like both. Stafford might be falling a little bit. I don't know who has the inside track on him, but I think two guys have one QB on the right side, so they
Yeah,
might do something a little crazy.
you never know, right? You never know what type of lobbies you get. The worst feeling in the world is when you have stacks planned out and you just, God forbid, try to push a quarterback 2, 3 spots past ADP, and then
Mhm.
everyone's just taking quarterback, and then you end up with Jackson Dart, Darius Slayton, and Geno Smith with like a Dante Thornton and whatnot stack.
Mhm. Yeah, I typically see once Justin Fields goes off the board, like people start to scramble to either get their QB2 or their first QB. No one wants to be left holding the bag. So that's when you hit like round 9, round 10, I start to think, okay, let me make sure like I don't try and push my stacks too far, lock up what I need to, and then, I can focus on the other positions. And this sets us up really well. We could
Wow,
take either one of Gino or Matthew Stafford. Um,
I like both, man. But who's your favorite
what
here?
are their buys? Both are week 8. I'm fine with either. I think Stafford is who I would pick between the two.
It makes sense. We have Puka, first round receiver. Let's take
Yeah,
Stafford, and also
I
I
think
do. There's some Rams later that I like more than the Raiders for stacking options.
Yeah, and I think something that people should think about more is like the QB is the least important part of the stack. Like if you have like the guys that go off, like let's say you have Dante Thornton and Jacoby Myers and they go off week 17. You have Brock Bowers, Dante Thornton, like you don't have to grab Geno, right? Like a lot of
Yeah,
different QBs, like you can substitute those points with other guys. So it's nice to lock up a stack, but I don't feel too bad that we miss out on Geno here. We can still grab Dante Thornton later if we want to, but I like Tutu
exactly. Yeah.
I like Jarquez Hunter. I think the Rams profile to be a little bit more of a high upside offense to me, given who they're going to play.
No, I agree. I love that Week 17 game against the Falcons Monday night. Like that's gonna be the last game everyone watches to see who
That
wins
game
all the
could be
money.
explosive.
It,
The
it could be
Falcons
very
defense was
explosive.
secretly bad last year too. Like not secretly necessarily, but that defense was bad. So I think they could put up some points.
What's up, Kevin Bachwitz? Welcome in. Happy 4th of July to you. No, 100%, man. It's just too like one thing I've heard other people say. Shout out fans of Football Garage, but he said if he made the finals, with anyone or even if himself by himself, he's gonna go to that game, right, to watch the
Mhm.
sweat. I'm the
Mhm.
same thing. If I have a BBM team in the finals, I'm like, I'm gonna book a ticket to that game and just see how it goes down.
Yeah.
you
I would
know,
honestly probably do the same. Like, let's say like this team got to the final, I would go watch the Rams game most likely because Puka would probably be our most important player. So if I had to pick one game, I'd probably go to the game of my first rounder and like see like, okay, is this guy going to get me the money or
Mhm.
not?
Oh yeah, we'll be the biggest Puka fanboys ever. We'll have the jerseys ready. We'll be shouting his name like high school
Hmm.
girls. Huge Puka fans.
Yeah, and here we got a lot of different options. We've got running back options if we want them,
We
and
have
then
three more picks, so well, at least two more RBs. Maybe like I say,
yeah,
we're done. Yeah,
let's see who's on the board though.
for okay. So this is what we have for receiver RBs. Tight ends, I guess Ertz best tight end, but I th-
Yeah.
I think a RB man. I think we either go back to Will Shipley. We can
Yeah.
call Hunter up.
Yeah, because I know Hunter will probably come back to us. Yeah, I'm fine with doing Shipley again. Let's
Let's
prove the
just do
doubters
it.
wrong.
Let's stick
Yeah.
it to TB Bear. Right. Like, let's double down. And you know what? I think we're great at quarterback. I think we're great at receiver, and I even think at tight end we could be done because um, Colson Loveland Goddard I think is a really fun duel. So
Mhm.
Shipley's probably the best pick there.
Yeah, I think running back matters more for us right now. I think we probably want more firepower in there. So I think if Jarquez Hunter or Blake Corum come back to us, we can just snag either one of those guys.
Yeah, yeah. It's fun upside clicks too, and then Brees and Choa they're gonna be in our two RB slots all year. And then all we need is one injury, or maybe Ray Davis is a guy I like a lot. I think he's a really good
he
football
he
player.
could stealthily like Ray Davis could have a role even without an injury, right? Like James Cook, we don't know if they intend for James Cook to have as much of the pie as he did last year. So I like Ray Davis even without like taking out the contingent upside. Like he's shown some stuff last season to where this year I think he could grow into an even bigger role. So I like taking him as one of the higher upside contingent upside best, but even independently.
He's one too in like battle royales. Like if James Cook is hurt, Ray Davis is gonna go very high.
Yeah, he's gonna go super high, and that's how I try to think about these guys because if I think about like in a single week sample, like how is the market gonna react to this guy like getting a lot of touches? I think Ray Davis will be high, but like I'll say for Jarquez Hunter, like he's probably my second most exposed running back. Like I'm at like 21% Jarquez Hunter. Sean McVay has openly said he wanted more explosiveness in the running back room. They drafted Jarquez. This was the guy he wanted on draft day. Like I think when I look at Kyron's stats last year, I'm left a little bit wanting just because, like,
Yeah,
Kyron's not that explosive guy. I think he had the lowest explosive run rate or one of the lowest of guys with more than 100 rushes last year. Like, Sean McVay is a guy. Like he knows the stats. Like he knows like Kyron had a little bit of a fall off. So Jarquez has a chance to really make an impact in that offense. So like getting him this late, if we confirm that he's the number two over Corum, his price is gonna be much different, a month, 2 months from now.
Yeah, like you said, like I think Tyler Algier is probably the perfect example where like he'll probably jump to, right? He'll be in the
Mhm.
150s. So we're coming up next. We have a 3-5-6-2 build, pretty well balanced. Do you think we need one more? So like
I
if you
like
did,
Thornton or Tutu Atwell to close us out. Like I think those would be
yeah.
perfect for given like who we have on our team. I think either of those would be fine, and we could just stop at 7.
Okay, so do you want? 'Cause I was say, because we're taking one more RB. I think
Yeah, but
unless
yeah, let's take one more RB, but I'll hold the name. Let's save the name of
okay,
who it is. I don't want to
extend
give it away and get us sniped, but it's a guy that I think a lot of people don't have
ooh,
on their radar. Okay,
I
I'm
love.
fine with either one of these. Yeah.
Let's go 2-2. We have Stafford, and we're Devontae Adams is hurt week 17. That's all I'm saying. And 2-2, is going to be a difference maker.
Yeah, and I think in 3 wide receiver sets, like he's gonna be on the field. Like Tutu Atwell will be the third wide receiver most likely. He's probably gonna have an expanded role in that offense. Like I'm willing to take Tutu Atwell at cost and just bet like, hey, on the Rams offense and against that Falcons game, he's just gonna see some points. He's gonna put up some points for us. All he needs is one long touchdown to pay off that cost, and I'm fine
Yeah,
with him.
he's a fun spike week player.
All right,
All
and
right, so
RB, I don't think he'll go off the board. There's two RBs I like, but there's one guy I specifically think
ooh,
that we should take.
is it a stacking one?
Yeah, it's a stacking one. No,
Okay,
no one's on the radar. Okay, so I think we should take Emmanuel Wilson
all
for
right,
the
let's
Green
do
Bay
it.
Packers.
Ooh, let me get this.
You could just type in, yeah, there
Got
you
it.
go.
I got it. Whoo! Okay.
So this is a guy that I don't think is on most people's radar right now, but he stealthily had a really good year as the number 2 to Josh Jacobs last year. Everyone kind of wants Marshawn Lloyd to be that RB2 in that offense, and he hasn't shown that yet. But Emmanuel Wilson, like from an efficiency metric standpoint, his numbers were really, really good. Like I'm talking about some of the best of any backup in the NFL, like from an efficiency standpoint. So I'm like, Emmanuel Wilson, like if Josh Jacobs were to go out, like after training camp, we might get confirmation that the number 2 in this offense is this guy. And if that's the truth, like I want as much Emmanuel Wilson as I can get now before, he gets steamed up to go in like the 150s. And we find out that, Marshawn Lloyd is going to be a zero, just given the fact that he hasn't really contributed anything in the offense over there. Rookie year, spent a lot of it hurt this year. I don't really know what's going on with his status. We haven't got any like promising updates. If that's the case, Emmanuel Wilson has shown some juice.
Yeah, he looked really good last year, averaged 5 yards per carry. He was averaging 25-35% snap share down the season with Jacobs.
Mhm.
And I do think I can't say he's a better RB than Marshawn Lloyd yet, but he's shown that he's capable NFL player. I think they want Lloyd to be the RB2, but I don't think his body I don't
Yeah.
like I just don't
Uh, I hear that, he has a muscle imbalance in his leg. He has a fumbling problem. I'm like, why are we as a fantasy community trying to will this guy into being the RB2 in Green Bay when there is a guy right now that is the RB2 there? Like, and he's pretty good. So I'm like, if I can
yeah.
get Emmanuel Wilson in the last round, if I need an RB, I'm fine with just taking him. And we know that ideally in the Green Bay offense, they like to split time between the running backs. Like Josh Jacobs, like they leaned on him a lot because Jordan Love was injured last year. If that's not going to be the case, we might see more of a timeshare between the backs. We might see, whoever the RB2 is in Green Bay might get like 700 yards next year or 600 yards, and be more involved. And I think if that's Wilson, this is a really good pick.
I agree. This is our team 3672. This was another fun build. I'll let you kind of go through it, just kind of go over it.
Yeah, so we've got those 2 week 5 bye QBs in
Mhm.
Caleb and Jordan Love, like, and they both have upside cases of their own. Like Jordan Love to me is a guy who profiles as like a dark horse MVP type guy. If all the stars were aligned, he's got a really good receiver room this year. Tucker Kraft is a guy we could see being a top 5 tight end. If he gets the kind of usage, I think Tucker Kraft was seeing like his yak numbers are up there with like George Kittle, with like some of the best tight ends in the game. So, if
Yeah.
he starts to get like, if Luke Musgrave is phased out of the offense and Jordan Love has a guy he can rely on, like this QB room is really solid to me. So I like what we did there. And then we've got Stafford, just for some more optionality, build out our Puka stack, and we got Tutu Atwell as well. And then at RB, we've got these six here. Brees Hall is a guy that we kind of want to have a bounce back year in this team. If he does, we know Justin Fields is going to open a lot of rushing lanes. If Brees Hall is a guy that we can see get a lot of passing, opportunities, if he can get a lot of receptions, he's a nice RB1 for us. Chuba Hubbard, like just based on his performance last year, we got him at a steal at pick 56. And, we got a lot of contingent upside with these other guys as well. Ray Davis, Will Shipley. All we need is one injury to kind of take this RB room to the moon. And then at wide receiver, we got Puka Nacua and AJ Brown. I think when you start a draft like that, like you're secure at wide receiver. You've got an upside that probably only a few in your pod or in general can match. So I really like that. Two solid WR1s. DJ Moore is a guy we know is going to get a lot of touches. I like having DJ Moore as the WR3 here. Jacoby Myers, you can pencil him in for 180 points in a year and just set and forget it. Jaden Reed is a guy that, he has a crazy upside. Last year when Jordan Love was healthy in the healthy games, like he performed like a legitimate WR1, WR2 in fantasy. If he can get back to that upside, if they can pass more in Green Bay, like we've got a great team. Emeka Egbuka, he's a mystery box. He could be anything. He could be last year's Chris Godwin. He could be a nobody. Like there's a lot of outcomes for him, but I really like, the upside situation that he's set up in Tampa Bay. We know Baker's going to throw the ball to anybody. If any of those old guys get hurt, Egbuka's going to smash for us. And then Tutu Atwell closes out that Ram stack. And then at tight end, Colston Loveland, right now, he's falling in ADP just because that shoulder injury he's not fully healthy from. He didn't participate in OTAs. We don't know if he'll start in training camp, but this is a guy that was taken top 10, as a tight end, which is historically very rare. He's going to be a big part of what the Bears want to do this year. Ben Johnson specifically wanted to get this guy for a reason. I think he has a big role in the offense. It's something that we know from the Detroit Lions days is that, pass action is a big part of the Ben Johnson offense. And who benefits most from pass action is offenses or play action. That's going to be the tight end. That's going to be the Brock Wright. That's going to be the Sam Laporta. If Colston Loveland, I think he's better than either of those guys were coming out of college. He's set up to smash in this kind of offense. And then Dallas Goedert, based on how we drafted our Eagles, if the Eagles have to pass more, Goddard and Brown are guys I like. If Saquon got hurt for some reason, Shipley may smash for us, but they might just turn into a passing team. Goddard is going to be a good option in that situation. AJ Brown is going to smash. He has an upside that, is only matched by like the Jamar Chases and Justin Jeffersons of the world. So I like, snagging him as a second tight end and then closing it out at that. So I think overall we've got a pretty good roster. If things break well for us, this is a roster I could see making noise, advancing out of this pod and hopefully making noise in week 15.
I think we'll be at that Rams game, week 17, brother. It's a great team.
We drafted two good teams. I like both of them for different reasons. Shipley's on both. Coincidental, maybe not. But yeah, I think two good teams here. This one's pretty good.
I love the team. And I would like to go over Steve and TB Bears teams right after I just check on the chat real quick. Yo, what's up? Garnet Bachlis, how you doing? Happy 4th of July. RM Covers loves Ray. Terrence says, I live in Atlanta. If I know anything about Atlanta, it's that game will determine a BB winner. It gets whack in Atlanta. I have the same feeling.
Yeah, I went in this year really trying to target whoever's facing the Falcons and whoever's facing the Panthers in week 17. I want the teams that are facing those defenses. So I think in both drafts we hit that. So
we did. So who do you think are the top 5 fantasy RB cuffs? I mean, what's your short list if you could come up with one?
Yeah, I think how I think of that is the guys who go as top 5 fantasy backs in general. I think, we're going to think about the top 5 fantasy handcuffs in terms of who those guys are. So I think I want the backup to Saquon. I want the backup to Bijan. When I think about like maybe not so much Aston Genty, but like, Guy like Josh Jacobs, I want his backup. I think I think about who the top 5 handcuffs are going to be, they're going to be guys in situations where the offensive line is set up for you to smash. Even to an extent, David Montgomery is a handcuff this year
Yeah.
to Jameer Gibbs. So I think like David Montgomery is going to be one of those guys. Like Ray Davis. Buffalo is like one of the highest scoring offenses in football. I put Ray Davis up there, Tyler Algier, and I hate to say it, like people are not going to like this answer, but Rashad White, if something happens to Bucky, like Rashad White is going to go back to like being the main guy over there, and Sean Tucker's going to back him up. Like, so I think Rashad White is up there. And, Emmanuel Wilson might be guy number 5. If Josh Jacobs goes down and misses time, like whoever the RB2 is for Green Bay is going to see a lot of action behind a pretty solid offensive line, a pretty good offense and good coaching. So I'd say like, a guy like Tyler Algier, Ray Davis, maybe a guy like Rashad White, Manuel Wilson, and then like the 5th guy can be like kind of a flex for me. It's like Will Shipley, just based on how good we know the Eagles' offensive line is. But honestly, David Montgomery, people don't think of him as a handcuff. But if he goes from RB2 to RB1 in Detroit, like he's going in the first round of battle royales every week. So I think David Montgomery would probably be that pick, or maybe another guy. But basically, the guys who are top 5 running backs, if they were to miss time, their backups are going to step into that role. So that's how I think about like top 5 handcuffs. Like I want the handcuffs of the guys that matter in good offensive situations.
Basically, who we had on our team. Those are the top. Those are the cups that you want.
Pretty much, to an extent, yeah. I like the guys that we took for that reason. Like when I think about contingent upside, like I don't want guys that are just going to play. I want guys that if they play, like these guys are going to smash, right? Like Jarquez Hunter, if Kyron Williams was abducted by aliens tomorrow, this guy is going nuclear. Like, like in the Rams offense with Sean McVay, like this guy is going absolutely bananas. So like, I love guys in situations like that where we know they have a good coach, good offensive situation. I don't know if Jarquez Hunter is the RB2 there quite yet, but if for some reason he was forced to start, I would love him in a situation like that as well.
100% agreed. I think the 4 handcuffs, I think each one, if the starter got hurt, would just boost up in value, and they would be very highly coveted and just project very well. Um, so like I said, let's go over TB Bear and then Steve's team real quick, and then I'll get you out of here. I know you probably have some 4th of July plans. I know I do, not too big, but gonna hang out with the fam a little bit.
Yeah.
But we have TB T Bear 81 here. Bo Nix, Purdy, that's a fun quarterback duo right there. I think you're more than fine at stopping at 2. Bijan, Bucky, Mixon, Eckler, Tank, and Jordan James. So he goes heavy RB early. He pulls up Mixon. I do like the guys. No, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say something I like about his team is something that I don't think people have corrected on enough. We know that the running back market this year is much different than last year, but something I don't think enough people are thinking about is when I think about how I want to build a team, I want a running back in my flex. Like a guy like Joe Mixon, like people aren't going to believe me when I say this, he outscored Justin Jefferson in points per game. He had a higher ceiling than Justin Jefferson in 2024, right? Like this guy is going to give you a lot of points. He has a really high scoring ceiling. Like when I think about guys I want in my flex, if I told you could get Justin Jefferson's scoring profile in your flex, you're going to say how? And I'm going to tell you draft a 3rd elite running back. And then people are going to say, no way, I don't want to do that. But a team like this secretly profiles to be really high scoring, assuming he did something really solid at his running back and tight or wide receiver and tight end positions.
Yeah, very strong RB. I think Mixon is another guy I target in the 5th round a lot if he's there, right? I just think he projects very well. Last year, a crazy stat too about Mixon, he was the RB1 in points per game from week 1 to like 11 or something, right? Like he was just a monster, and I think he could still have a great year. So this is what we're gonna look at right now. The receivers: Devontae, Calvin Ridley, Rick Pearsall, Diggs, Thielen, Pierce, Hopkins, and Keenan Allen. He pulls up Adams, which I think is more than fine. I think Adams is a 2-3 player. I think he can be for sure. I like Ridley. Pearsall, Diggs, I feel like are polarizing players where I could see the upside case for them, but also the down case.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, what makes me a little, what gives me a little heartburn is like this wide receiver room is pretty good, but I don't know if I see that like sky high ceiling, right? Like a guy that could just nuke you for 30 points, like maybe Devontae Adams, but like in a wide receiver two role, we don't know that for like he doesn't have Aaron Rodgers feeding him the ball necessarily like he did last year. Like some of these wide receiver options are pretty good. You've got a chaperone like Adam Thielen and like DeAndre Hopkins where they could chaperone you through the early part of the season as veterans who are going to be very involved in the offense. But then I want to see that like sky high upside from some of these later guys. Like I like a Ricky Pearsall option as a guy who would come on later in the season, but I want to see like another guy with that kind of upside, like Keenan Allen and DeAndre Hopkins and Thielen to me. Like that's a lot of dust. That's a lot of, retirement home community where I want to see like if I'm taking wide receivers later when I didn't get an elite one early, like I want to be taking guys who can just like late young guys that can smash if given the situation.
For sure. Yeah, like
I do
maybe.
like this.
Yeah, no, I think it's a solid room. I think obviously when you go three RBs early, your receiver room, will look a little weaker and can be. But like you said, I think like Hawkins, Allen, maybe you switch Hopkins for maybe a guy that has a little more upside or something like that. I do agree with that. Also, shout out Jordan James. He did take him, so
He
much
stuck
respect. Yeah, yeah. So he's a man of his word. And then, but this is one thing I like his tight end room a lot. David Njoku and Tucker Craft, he pulls both of them up, which I think is a sharp move to do sometimes when you have players go on one side of the board. I think it is good to pull them on the other side. Where both of these tight ends I like a lot.
Yeah, I agree. Like to me, like I don't know if you watch Dragon Ball, but if Njoku and Kraft were to do the fusion dance and become one tight
Oof,
end, this is Brock
oof.
Bowers to me. Like this,
Yeah,
this is
yeah.
the scoring profile of an elite tight end, just spread across two players instead of one, right? But if they all hit your lineup, right? Like if their weeks alternate in terms of when they give you scoring, like this is an elite tight end room in a way, but you got it at a sharply discounted cost. You didn't have to pay a second or a third to get it. So I do like this tight end room. I think it's completely like solid to stop at two. When you got like David Njoku, like if he does what he did last year, like he's a complete smash at this price. Tucker Craft, even if he did what he did last year, like I think he was the TE 10 and half PPR points per game at tight end. He's going as the TE 13 this year. Why?
Mhm.
Who knows? But at that price, I'll take him every single time. So I like both of these guys. I like this tight end room a lot. I think he built a pretty solid team overall, and it seems like he stuck to his guns in terms of like, okay, this is how I wanted to build a team, and I wanted to get Jordan James, and you guys are just gonna have to live with that.
I agree. I think this is a very fun team. Well done, TB. I keep wanting to say TB Bear. T Bear. Yeah, well done. I do like this team. Now we have Steve's team, right? 3-6-7-2. He has Hurts, Mahomes, and then he throws on a Jackson Dart. Are you doing this at all when you take like a Hurts and a Mahomes?
Yeah, like I'll take Dart in three QB builds, but I'll typically only do it if I have neighbors, just because I want them linked together. I think Dart is live to start, like, Brian Daboll is going to be in the hot seat in New York. So like you can't take Dart in the first round and not start him any games. I don't think he has that kind of credibility with ownership. So I like taking Dart, but when I take like Jalen Hurts, I'm either going to wait on that second QB. So instead of Mahomes at 93, I'm going to sit and see if I can get another guy to fall to me, like a Dak Prescott or, a Drake May, like after pick 110. I just want to control how much capital I'm spending on QB. But I think overall, like, there's no, like, these bye weeks don't overlap. This is going to be a QB room that's profiles to score very highly every single week, which I can't fault someone for building that kind of room. And I think this QB room is probably one of the strongest I would imagine in this pod.
100%. And we don't know the rest of the team, so we'll see. I do think sometimes if you build a well-balanced team throughout the first 16, 17 rounds, you afford obviously a luxury pick sometimes when you
Mhm.
could just tack on, hey, like if I have Giants things, let me just tack on a Dart because maybe Dart is just on fire during the fantasy playoffs and he just helps you, right?
Mhm.
So I'm fine with it. He has Barkley, David Montgomery, DeAndre Swift, Dobbins, Rico, and Bashard Smith. This is a strong RB room.
Yeah, it is. I mean, if Saquon repeats his RB1, like, he's going to carry a lot of these guys, and then everyone else can just kind of alternate. Like, you can get scoring from them when they give it to you. If Swift ends up
Mhm.
mattering, if Dobbins ends up starting, if Dowdle takes over for Hubbard for some reason, if Rashard Smith comes on, like, you can wait for that to happen because you've got Barkley basically hitting your lineup every single week. So I think this is a really strong RB room. He spent that first round pick on running back, and then he waited patiently to let the other backs come to him, which I think was really smart.
I think was really smart as well. I'm high on all these guys. I think all these guys. I mean, besides Barkley. Well, okay, time out. I think Barkley's could be a great pick. I'm very high on him. Obviously, I think he could crush, be the RB1. I'm just fading him for my own reasons. But you can never argue with Barkley anywhere in the first round. Brashard Smith, another one. He is moving up a little bit too. And I do think it's sneaky. If I had Mahomes, I would want to tack on to Brashard Smith just because he be the passing down back. You could see him maybe have 4, 5, 6 targets a game. So I think that's a sneaky stack. He has
Mhm.
that with Rice as well, right? So he has Rice, Higgins, Devontae Smith, Coleman, Joshua Palmer, Bryant, and then there's Darius Slayton to go with Jackson Dart as well.
Yeah, I like this wide receiver room. I think like this is a situation where you don't get a first round pick wide receiver, right? But you build the rest of the room in a way where it still profiles to score really well. And then you get guys like, Keon Coleman and Darius Slayton, where they might be the wide receiver 2 in their offense, or maybe even wide receiver 3. But when they go off, like they're really going to go off, right? Like Keon Coleman, if he has a 2 touchdown game, he's going to hit your lineup. And if Pat Bryant ends up being like the Michael Thomas of the offense, kind of like Sean Payton wants him to be, he's going to end up hitting your lineup. And then you've got Rashi Rice and T. Higgins like hitting your lineup consistently, Devontae Smith hitting your lineup consistently. I think this room is a mix of like, some high upside bets and then also like some guys that are going to consistently, give you some points when you need it.
He did a really good job correlation as well, right? He has the Chiefs and Broncos with Bryant, Rice, Brashard Smith, Evan Ingram. He has also the Eagles and Buffalo thing going on.
Mhm.
Um, is that it? Dobbins as well. So like he's making pretty big bets on week 17 games, which I think obviously that's a good thing to do. As you're constructing a team, as long as you're not like reaching 3 rounds on it, right? If you're able to build it as you
Yeah.
draft, it's very sharp.
Yeah, and he got lucky because like you don't get Higgins, like Higgins and Rice, you'd have to take them
Yeah.
at like 2, 3 turn. He got Higgins at 28. So that's the best way of getting unique is when a guy falls into your lap and like you get to build this like Bengals Chiefs stack without having to like give up draft capital or like reach on a guy to make it unique. I think that's really smart as well.
Yeah, very smart. And this is a new concept. So like BBM Rice is anywhere from like the second, third round. I'm sure some teams have him in the early fourth round as well. But like in a new contest, most of the times Rice and Higgins, you're not going to be able to pair because they'll be going
Yep.
in the second round.
Yep. So if
And
this team advances, like you're going to be one of the few guys with like that combination and some other guys on this team. So that's good uniqueness right there.
and then Ingram and Jake Ferguson, I think it's a fun tight end duel. So
Agreed.
I
Yeah.
mean,
Pretty
there's
safe
a reason.
floor.
Yeah, there's a reason why he made 16 finals last year. He creates a good story for these teams, and whenever Steve talks or drafts, I always pay a little extra attention just because obviously, you want to see what the the best people that are successful in this field in this game. You want to kind of try to see what they're doing. But
Yep.
and also he asks what Silver's at. He seems like good people. He's great people, man. I love your
Mm.
energy. I appreciate you coming on. Truly do. This is his Twitter, guys. Go give him a follow. If you can't click it, his Twitter's in my YouTube description as well. S- just an amazing guy. I appreciate you coming on, man. Truly do. Had a lot of fun, and I think we drafted some bangers.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you for having me on. I think we drafted 2 good teams. Hopefully they both advance. It was great to talk shop here. 4th of July. Hopefully you enjoy the rest of yours.
Yeah, of course. And appreciate everyone coming in to stop and chat and draft with us. Happy 4th of July. Be safe. Have a good time, and I'll see everybody real soon. Peace.